There's a specific morning I keep coming back to. It wasn't the day after Terry passed. The day after is chaos, family, the obligations that don't pause for grief. You don't have time to think about who you are. You just move. It was later, maybe a few weeks in, maybe longer. I woke up and the house was quiet. And I remember lying there, not sad in a weeping way, just lost. Like I'd woken up in a room I didn't recognize. Everything was familiar. My house, my things, my room. But the day had no shape. For years, 32 years, there had been a shape to the day. Built around her, built around us, around being a husband, a partner, the man she came home to, the man who knew her schedule and her preferences and the exact way she liked things done, around being half of something. And when I woke up that morning, the shape was just gone. I didn't know what to do with my hands. That might sound small. It's not small, because what I was experiencing wasn't just the grief of losing her. It was the grief of losing myself, of having no clear answer to the question that every human being needs an answer to. Who am I and what am I here for? Have you ever introduced yourself and felt like the words didn't quite fit anymore? Like you used to know exactly how to answer, how are you doing? And now the honest answer is so far from what people actually want to hear that you just say, fine. Because fine is the shortest distance between you and not having to explain what's actually going on. To explain. Have you ever noticed that so much of who you were was built around her? Not in a weak way, in a real way. You were the husband, the provider, the partner who showed up, the man who knew where she kept things and what she needed and how to make her laugh. That was a real identity. It mattered, and now it's gone. Not because you failed, but because that role ended when she died. Have you ever felt that grief isn't just about missing them? It's about not knowing who you are without them. Like you lost two people the day she died, her and the version of you that existed in relationship to her. I want to speak directly to the men watching this, because what you're carrying right now is not just the loss of your person. It's the loss of your role, your routine, your reason for certain things, the loss of the identity you built over years as a husband, as a caregiver, if she was ill, as a partner, as the man who had someone to come home to. That identity is not nothing. That identity was real. And its absence deserves to be grieved too. But, and this is where I need you to stay with me, its absence does not mean there's nothing left. Here's the point. And this one is important, so I'm going to say it slowly. You are not starting over. You are starting from a different place. Those are not the same thing. Starting over means erasing what was. Starting over means arriving with nothing. Starting over means the 32 years, the decade you spent with someone meant nothing toward what comes next. That's not true. And I need you to hear that clearly. That is not true. Every year you spent loving well made you better at something. Every year you spent as a partner, as a husband, as a man who showed up, that built something in you. That is still in you. The capacity for loyalty, for depth, for love, for commitment. It did not die with her. Starting from a different place means you are still you. You are still the man who loved that way. You are still the man with that history, that depth, that capability. You are just in a new geography. The road changed. The man walking it did not. Here's the deeper truth. The identity you had is not gone. It's underneath the story you've been telling about who you are now. The story says that version of me is over. But the story is not the truth. The truth is that the man who existed in that relationship is still here, just without the context that made it visible. The work now is not to rebuild from scratch. The work is to find that man again, to excavate, to remember. The enemy is the story that says rebuilding means erasing. That starting a new chapter means the previous chapters didn't count. That becoming who you are next somehow requires you to abandon who you were. This story is everywhere. It's in the well-meaning advice people give. You need to find yourself again, as if yourself were lost. As if you need to become a different person. As if the man you were before is someone you need to leave behind. That's not rebuilding. That's abandonment of the self. And no wonder it feels impossible because you don't actually want to abandon who you were. That man loved well. That man was faithful. That man was real. The lie says you have to become someone new. The truth says you have to find the man who was always there underneath the role, underneath the relationship, underneath the routine, and introduce him to what's next. The identity is not gone. The identity got buried under the story of loss. And here's what I know. You can dig it out. Not by starting over, by starting from here. 3 lines from today. The identity you had is not gone. It's underneath the story you've been telling about who you are now. You are not starting over. You are starting from a different place. That is not the same thing. You didn't lose yourself. You lost the context that made you visible to yourself. The man is still here. Those are worth returning to, especially the days when the story gets loud. If day 4 reached you, if the question, who am I now, is one you've been sitting with, I want you to know there's a practical first step available to you right now. When you pick up Rewrite the Story, the link is in the description at. You'll also find the first 30-day survival kit available at checkout. It's $27, and it's exactly what it sounds like. A practical toolkit for the first 30 days of working through the framework. It addresses exactly what we've been talking about today. The identity gap, the story underneath the grief, the practical work of finding the man who's still here. It's not a replacement for deeper work. It's the first step. And sometimes the first step is the one that matters most. Day 5 is the final video in this series, and it's the one I'm most proud of. It's about what life actually looks like on the other side of this. Not as a theory, as a reality. My reality. I will see you there. And most important, remember, you are extraordinary.